So what is up, guys? Welcome back to Late Night Shots, episode 17. And today we're joined by a two-time All-American for the University of Wisconsin, Evan Wick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk some wrestling. I think everyone in quarantine is excited for that. It's all we have to do right now. So let's get it done.
That's it. All right.
Yep.
So, Evan, we're just going to talk a little bit about the beginning of your wrestling career. So let's just get into it. What age did you start wrestling and really got into the sport?
I started wrestling when I was about, I think I was like a month away from my 11th birthday. So I was 10 years old. I had nothing to do. Me and my brother, Xander, my twin brother, we played football all year round, but I was kind of a scrappy kid. I was pretty ornery, and so I wanted to join wrestling. And, if you ask my mom says she was really reluctant to get me, or she wanted to get me into wrestling really bad, and I never wanted to. But if you ask me, I say I wanted to get into wrestling really bad. My mom never wanted me to. So we're still, duking that out. But at any rate, we ended up going to Elsinore High School for my first wrestling practice. My brother actually wasn't there. He had a drama play or something at school. And I remember wrestling some guys, and I was pretty scrappy. I just wanted to hurt people back then. I was like 10 years old. I just wanted to prove how tough I was. But went to my first tournament. I took second. I think I won 3 matches and lost one. I lost to Eddie Ramirez. I still remember the name to this day when I first lost. Eddie Ramirez. I ended up beating him, though, probably like 2 months later. Put him in a headlock and pin him. That was all I had. My first year, all I had was a head and arm, right? I remember my second year. My second year was the same thing because I came out and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to perfect my leg attacks. I tried a leg attack, and I'm pretty sure I got pinned. And so I was like, nope, I'm just sticking to head and arms. So I like throwing people. I just stuck to head and arms. But that's how I got started in wrestling. Nothing to do. So my parents just wanted to put me in wrestling.
Yeah, I kind of had the opposite thing. I grew up in a wrestling household. When my mom and my stepdad got married, I had 4 stepbrothers. All of them wrestle. My oldest stepbrother is the wrestling coach at Texas A&M, and it's always been around. So I grew up watching them wrestle, and just being around them in high school. So when I was probably 5 years old, maybe a little bit older, got in the wrestling room, and it's kind of been history since. I took a break a little bit, played basketball.
Right.
Fell out of love with basketball real quick. And then
was it something you wanted to do, wrestle, when you started?
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I was 5 years old. You kind of just put your arms on each other's shoulders and spin around until someone trips. And then that's it. Yeah. To this day, it's the same thing. I love, working those tournaments and stuff. But
yeah, the 5-year-old age group has not progressed at all.
No, not at all. No. I mean, except for there's a couple, 2 or 3 kids that they go out there and they know what to do, and
I see that whoever that Russian kid is, he's
like yay big.
Dude, he's suplexing everyone. I can't even do half the stuff this kid is doing. So
yeah, no.
Whatever they're doing in Russia is working. We gotta fix our game plan. But we're competing well in open class, so our Olympic level. So
yeah,
we got something right.
I feel like So you played football when you were younger, right? You played football.
Yeah, I played football, but I think the reason a lot of people get into wrestling is because they play football or they play some sport, and they're too small to compete after a while. So I started my freshman year of high school like 113 pounds, and that was after I was held back. I graduated actually at 19. I was one of those holdback kids.
Wow.
I know there's some controversy around that, but I can assure you that I was going to be like 95 or 100 pounds my freshman year. So my parents decided to hold me back. But yeah, so I was probably 12 or 13 when I quit football because me and my brother were 70, 75 pounds, and we were playing football against kids who were 130, 140 pounds, and we were just getting crushed.
Yeah,
but
you see that a lot.
Yeah, I actually still managed to – every year I played, except my very first year, I played for like 5 years, I managed to fill a linebacker position.
Really?
Yeah, I've played fullback 1 year. I played like left guard 1 year. So I played all the positions I shouldn't have, even being as small as I was.
Left guard.
But
yeah, like a similar thing with me. Like I didn't start wrestling like really late. Like again, I'm an Indian dude. Like sports don't really run through our veins,
Right.
Started playing football in like 8th grade. I was like 6'2", 205. So like, why wouldn't I? And I just got extremely big. I was like 270 in the freshman year. So I'm like, they're like, you should wrestle, right? Like, keep in mind, like I wasn't like an athlete or anything. I was just there, right?
Right.
And then I got like 1 in 18 my freshman year. Like
that's how a lot of guys start.
Yeah,
man.
and then it just like turned into like football was my sport, and then just turned to like wrestling was my thing, and then I just didn't like football anymore.
Yeah. You quit football?
I didn't quit football. Like I did it like I was mostly recruited for football, right? And then like I realized like after my season ended, it just didn't end the way I wanted to. I lost like a D1 rider commit and like 4-2 in my last match, and that was in the district tournament, right? So I'm like, okay, I still have a couple of unchecked boxes. So I'm like, I reached out to a couple college coaches, and I got on a D2 team. So,
yeah, awesome, man, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, I'm only a junior. I got one more season left. My freshman year, I got pulled up to varsity. I ended up breaking my leg the second week of practice. Really sucked. Didn't get to wrestle at all. Came back my sophomore year. Had some family issues over like that break, and just got really big. I was like 355 pounds. So then I ended up cutting all the way to heavyweight the week before the conference tournament. I went like 2 and out just because I sucked 17 pounds the 2 days before. 2 days before, 2 days, I cut 17 pounds to wrestle. So for us, you don't have to like medal at the conference tournament to qualify for districts just because how small the area we are. But so then I wrestled district tournament. I got 5th, which is 1 spot away from regionals. I was more than happy with that sophomore season.
Right.
Got all these newspaper articles written about me because no one ever thought I was going to be able to wrestle ever again, being that heavy, Right. It was just a crazy story. But then junior season this year, I ended up going to. I was like 2 pounds over first week of the season. I'm cutting weight in gym class because we had like a match coming up, and decided we're gonna play full court basketball. So I'm like, all right, I can play full court basketball. We'll get some good running in. I go for a rebound, fall, break my ankle.
Damn, dude, you had it rough.
I had it rough. And the great thing was, this kid that got 7th in the state of Pennsylvania, I beat him twice.
No way, man.
Twice.
You got to make it happen this year.
I saw it. Well, the great thing about Pennsylvania this year is everybody but 1 medalist in the state graduated. So 7 out of the 8 state placers graduated.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's almost like it's an open border. So I have a chip on my shoulder this year. I'm just gonna get one of those big bubbles and wear that around school just in case.
Right.
I can't get hurt anymore. My coach said.
Were you guys thinking of compete? Do you guys compete at Fargo at all? That's one thing.
Like, I was doing doing football the entire time. So like.
Yeah, I play football.
And like my parents weren't like you're like a top level D1 kid and you're gonna be doing all these things.
Yeah. I actually ended up signing up for Fargo this year, but it got canceled, which sucked because I already told my wrestling coach, I was like, hey, there's this Fargo tournament. I'm like, hey, might as well just try it out. I got 1 year left, senior year. Might as well just go out there and just try it. I've never wrestled freestyle or Greco before, so I was like, well, might as well. I mean, I can pick kids up and move them around a little bit. So
yeah,
might as well that's try
huge, man. Like knowing freestyle is big. I mean, I think it really expands people's knowledge of the sport, and it just really helps them progress their folk style. Because if you can understand how to scramble without exposing your back, which a lot of people are so comfortable in folk style scrambling their back. In high school, you guys don't have the swipe rule, right? Or once you break 90 degrees, once you're exposed, you guys don't have that,
yeah,
right?
We do. I think so.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
But, at any rate, it's like freestyle, you can't expose your back at all. So you got to really learn how to adapt and just focus on your defense and your offense.
It's like my coach doesn't even like Trent because in one of my matches, I was wrestling like a 220. He hit like a hard sweep single on me, had my leg in the air. I tried to hit a funk roll on him. And I was like right at 285. I tried to hit a funk roll, almost put myself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, especially like the area I live in, we have, the national powerhouse Wyoming seminaries, a 5-minute drive. So, our coach is, friends with their coach, and, that wrestling room's always open for us to go train freestyle because I know they do a lot of freestyle and Greco stuff down there. So, plus
how does it
guys
work
in that room.
Oh yeah. How does it work at Wyoming Seminary? I know that guys can spend like an extra year there.
Yeah, you can get a 5th year.
It's like a prep school, right?
It's a college
prep
prep
like
school.
Blair, technically.
Yeah.
So you're essentially wrestling with college guys there.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, because the only thing when you're a 5th year senior, you can't wrestle at prep natties.
Yeah, you can. It's 50.
Right.
You can?
I'm pretty sure because it's a
No,
prep nationals.
Because I know people that wrestled a fifth year this season, and they weren't able to wrestle at prep natties.
I think you can't wrestle your redshirt year.
You get a redshirt year?
It's like essentially you get a fifth year, so one of them's technically a redshirt year.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
You can only wrestle 4 years. Yeah.
I know with Bo because he wasn't taking another year. He had a chance to. He already won 4 prep national titles. He's going to Penn State. You know, it's not worth it at that.
Well, he was from Allen, right?
I think from Texas. Yeah, Texas. No, Arizona. I think.
No, yeah. Bo Bartlett.
Which Bo are we talking about?
Bo Bartlett.
Bartlett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nichols from Texas. Yeah. Bo Bartlett actually he used to compete a lot with my little brother Luca, and actually Jesse Vasquez as well.
Yeah.
Here in a lot of California tournaments. I think he was from Arizona. He might have even been from California. I'm not sure. He was.
I was gonna say he's somewhere from over there. Yeah, he's small. He's quick. He's quick.
He's quick. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's what makes that area so great is you guys have so many good schools, and it's not just the high schools. You guys are isn't it District 11 or something?
Yeah, they have Southern Columbia, which is like the Garcias and all those guys that you have the legendary Zane Rutherford basically put it on the map. You have what's it called? I can't think right now.
Are the Dauphin like Central Dauphin? Are they around?
Yeah. All that. That's all. Yeah.
My dad used to watch that stupid like Texan Falls, Pennsy Falls, something ESPN show. Like he watched it 15 times. But
you have a lot of.
If you guys got that, and then you have like however many D1 schools in Pennsylvania, you know, a college coach retires, he's going to drop down on a high school program, and that's where I was so fortunate in high school. My coach was originally the head coach at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. In California, we have very few D1 schools. I think right now we have Baptist is coming. You have Stanford, Bakersfield, Cal Poly. I think that's about it. Fresno. So now we have more. When I was in high school, it was only 3. But at any rate, I was one of the fortunate kids to my high school coach fell into my high school, or the Cal Poly coach fell into my high school. John Azevedo, he was an Olympic team member, and that was so huge for my success. But in Pennsylvania, it happens so often.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many D1 schools. One of those coaches is bound to land in a high school program, and that kind of experience and knowledge is just so helpful for high school athletes. You know.
Yeah, we have all military coaches. We have an ex-prison guard and 2 military men. That's the room I've always been in. You know, the first thing we learned first day of practice is respect. You know, you're not learning about wrestling for the first 2-3 practices because he's teaching you, you know, how to respect yourself, how to respect your coaches, how to respect your opponent. You know, he always has a motto. He goes, you know, you start every match with a handshake, you end every match with a handshake. He goes, I don't care. You know, there's no matter what happens during the match. If it's the ref's fault, you don't yell at the ref. Like, that's how you get yourself in trouble. You know, that's just something he beat into us from day one.
That's a very valuable military value to instill in one's athletes. You know, I think at first when you mention, you know, military coaches, I think, you know, like a drill sergeant, someone who's just yelling at you guys and screaming at you guys, and that can be kind of counterproductive for a lot of athletes. I think for me, that kind of a coach would be very counterproductive, someone who's just, you know, being negative constantly. But I think there's a lot more that comes out of, you know, a military coach than just that. Like you said, it could just be instilling respect and other kinds of values like that. You know, that's very important.
Yeah, and then having the prison guard, he's like, I think 6'5", 6'6", about 350 pounds. And when they kind of saw me progress, I wrestled 14 matches my sophomore year, went 9-5. You know, they kind of saw me as somebody who, you know, I could get there, I could be, you know, at that level. Yeah. And they brought him in and were like, hey, we want you to only wrestle with our 220 and our heavyweight. You do their instruction. You do their drills. You do everything for them. Because he was also he wrestled at Ryder. He was like a Pennsylvania State medalist once or twice. You know, he was you know, somebody who knew a lot about heavyweight wrestling. And that was definitely a great pickup. And, you know, I'm definitely very thankful for my coaches that they saw me in that way, that they could see me, you know, ending up in a state level, or, you know, I definitely think it happened. You know, not wrestling. I wrestled 14 matches so far in my high school career, and I'm talking to a couple D2 schools. I'm basically verbally committed right now to a D2 school as a junior. So, you know, I always talk about that in my in these videos as well. It's like you don't have to be the greatest wrestler to land yourself in a college wrestling situation. You know,
no, not at all. No, I mean, you got to have the right connections, and that's what a lot of guys will message me, or I'll go to a camp and kids will ask me, you know, what does it take to be a D1 wrestler? And, you know, I see these kids who want to be they love wrestling so much and they want to be D1 wrestlers so bad. I think they're just hesitant to approach college coaches. They don't want to be the guy who's bothering them because they're not good enough.
Exactly,
but it's like, dude, there's so many coaches who are like, they're dying to have these kids who just want to wrestle, because I guarantee you, dude, like so many of these college coaches would rather have an average wrestler who loves wrestling and wants to get better than to get the number one guy in the country who's just burnt out, you know?
Yeah.
I think there was something that Askren had a statistic of like all the number one guys who come into college. And I think it was like only 50, I might even be lowballing it. I think it was only 50% of the number one guys in the country who go into college. They don't even end up wrestling a match in their college because they're just burnt out and they quit, you know? So it's like, why would you want to be a coach and recruit that guy and attempt to coach that guy when, you know, he hates the sport and he doesn't want to do it anymore, you know?
Yeah, that was like a lot of like what you said almost. East Stratford University is a Division II school in Pennsylvania, and I talked to their coach a ton, and he's somebody who says the same thing as you. He's like, I see you have the heart for the sport. I see you want to be there. You want to learn. You want to, you know, be able to, you know. I was like, I basically told him when I ended, because I was talking to them. I went up there and visited the summer into my junior year. And, you know, I was heartbroken. I broke my ankle. I was heartbroken. This was my season to wrestle. So I called him, like, in tears, like, I want to wrestle in college. Like, I want to continue. I'm not done yet. I'm like, my mission's not complete. Much like you said, Akil, like, I'm not done yet. I have stuff that I still want to do. And, you know, he was definitely like, hey, like, don't worry about it. Like, you'll have a spot here. Like, even if it's, you know, not any money there for you, like, just get accepted into college and you will have a spot here. You know, I think that definitely, you know, calmed me down a little bit and, you know, made my recovery process, you know, this is the first time I got injured and didn't gain any weight. You know, I stayed down right around that. You know, I ballooned up last time I got hurt. And, you know, that was definitely something that kind of calmed my nerves a little bit. And I was like, all right, you know, I did physical therapy and went through all that kind of stuff just to, you know, kind of get back on my feet. And he was there for me through the whole process. So, you know, having a good coach is definitely a necessity.
Yeah, definitely. Having a coach who believes in you. You know, that was very big for me in high school. I didn't come into high school wrestling good at all. I mean, I think I took fourth at Kid State. So I mean, in for whatever Kid State is worth, you know, it's not like high school state or anything. So I took fourth in state, and I wasn't that great, but I had a coach who believed in me, and just like I'm telling you, man, like he loved coaching athletes who love the sport. We had guys in the room who were better than me, but, you know, they'd never take the time to ask questions or stay after practice and learn new things. I was actually just on a podcast yesterday and I said this, you know, I was in lunch with my high school coach at every lunch. You know, I wasn't hanging out with my friends. I was in the wrestling room watching wrestling videos with my high school coach, John Azevedo, and just breaking down techniques. So I had a mind for the sport, you know, and he just loved getting me better, you know, and that was so huge for me. After that, I love wrestling so much, you know.
Right, so you make that decision as a young kid. You know, you decide you're gonna wrestle. You know, whether it was your decision, your mom's decision.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about that a little bit earlier. That, you know, you kind of can't put a finger on who was like, well, why don't you try wrestling? Or
right.
She was like that, or you were like, well, I want to try it. You know, So you're in high school. It's your freshman season. Let's just talk a little bit about how that went. So,
but my freshman season was had some ups and downs. Like I said, I didn't start exceptionally well. I remember the fall finale, what tournament you guys won't know about. I took fourth at, but I had some goods. Like we had like a Super 32 qualifier, and I went and I think I took sixth. But I beat like a state qualifier, and that was huge for me. Because coming into, I wasn't even ranked the state at all, but it was just, I think me and my family had a very realistic mentality about it. I remember talking to my dad. My dad was like, if we could place the state, that would be great this year. My dad was so supportive, and you know, he loved me and my brothers and never said a bad thing about our wrestling. Just super supportive. But I'll never forget, we were in the car, and he was like, you know, if we place the state, we place the state, but if we don't, we don't. And so we were just very realistic. But I went to Doc B, and I didn't place. I lost in the blood rounds, so it didn't do exceptionally well. But then I had a standout tournament. We had our qualifiers. So in California, it's only one division. I think we're one of the only states other than actually New Jersey. Is New Jersey all state? Yeah. So we're all state, no divisions. And so we have league, CIF, Masters, state. Yeah. So I remember I won league. League's pretty easy. It's under like 5 schools. Then you had 52 schools. I went to CIF and I won it. That was a big deal. Qualifying for Masters, I didn't know. I was a nervous kid, so I was like, oh shoot, I don't want to take 6th at CIF and not place. They take top 5. Anyway, I make it to Masters. I meet again. I was like, oh shoot, I want to make it to state, but if I don't place top 9 at Masters, then I don't make it to state. So, I had a realistic outview, and I was like, I could do some damage at this tournament, or I could get beat and not make it. But ended up making it to the finals, which was a big deal. I beat a guy named Roy Galvin, who was like in probably 2 years before was teching me as a kid, but then I got under the right coaching, and he coached me on position and stuff, and I ended up beating this guy. That was a huge deal. But then in the finals, I wrestled Zahid Valencia. This is probably a match that not a lot of people know about. It was a 113 Masters finals at Temecula Valley High School, and I got pinned in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I was pretty devastated about that. But I was pretty stoked it took second at the tournament. And then,
is that match somewhere on Flow? Could we find that match?
I hope not at all. They put a couple of the finals matches on, but mine was so short they probably didn't think it was worth it. So.
I mean, it's Evan Wick versus Zahid Valencia. You think they'd see the names and be like, all right, maybe,
Yeah, 113. You might learn some exceptional technique from that video. I don't know. Turned me in a half Nelson. So if you want to learn how to do a half Nelson,
watch that. All right.
Yeah. But then I went to state, and I think I was ranked 4th in state. And that was that scared me. I had this expectation as a freshman. I was seeded 4th at state, and I lost in the round before blood rounds to Eric Ochoa from Northview.
Wait, did Zahid win it that year?
No, Zahid actually lost to Sean Williams from Moore High School, who then lost in the finals to Israel Zavidra. Zahid took 3rd. He had a bad match. Apparently he twisted his ankle playing basketball, actually, of all things. So sounds like a dangerous hobby to have during wrestling season. But at any rate, he didn't end up winning the tournament. He won the year before against Johnson Mai. Then he won the year after, and the year after he was a 3-time state champ. His brother Anthony also lost that year. So they were both 3-time state champions. Lost the same year, the sophomore year. But I didn't place that tournament. There's actually a video online. We have a highlight video from my freshman year. I was crying after my match, and they thought that was worthy to put on the video. So that was kind of embarrassing. But
can I just say, you have an incredible memory of people's names. Like, I would be sitting here like, well, he beat somebody, but I don't really know who he beat.
No, dude, I remember all of it. I looked, even though I was wrestling him, I looked up to all those guys. It was one of those things where, I'd stand on the podium and I'd look up to Zahid, and I wanted to be that good. So, but I think I also get it from my dad. My dad has a photographic. He could tell you every single person that I ever lost to, every single person. And I'm like, I'll ask him. I'll go online too, because actually, if you look up a lot of this stuff, dude, there's so much information online. You have no clue people will post this stuff.
I've wrestled almost 100 matches. I remember like every single kid.
Really? You do?
And I could tell you like which kids placed where in the state too. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was always into that stuff, and apparently, my dad too. My dad could tell you everything. The first match I lost, second match I lost, everything. Who was in the tournament? But so it comes from my dad. I think we're nervous enough. We're nervous enough people that we put these people on pedestals, and we unfortunately we remember all this stuff.
Yeah, I had a whole notebook actually my sophomore year with every kid that was ranked like in the state and made it to regions, and I wrote up my whole bracket for the state tournament because like I lost first round of districts that year. Like it was 10 nations. It was nothing crazy. And then I literally wrote up a whole bracket from states, and I had the exact same people meeting in the finals. I had a 6 versus a 9 seed in the finals, and that's the exact way it happened.
No way. Oh, so you pricked all of it.
Yeah.
Man.
All right.
I never went that far.
So after, you qualify for state, you get beat right before the blood round. You're coming into sophomore season. What kind of changed in that break from wrestling from freshman to sophomore year?
I had a pretty decent sophomore year. If I could tell you one thing, I cut way too much weight my sophomore year. That was a big mistake. I was very excited. I went to state. You're a freshman, you go to state, you kind of put this tournament on a pedestal, and I was very anxious and nervous for it. But I was like, okay, I've been there. This year, I'm gonna commit, and I'm going to take this like super seriously. and I'm going to go to state and I'm going to win it. But unfortunately, you know, I decided I was going to take it seriously and cut too much weight. You know, I think everyone has that. You know, that optimism of like the more weight I cut, the better I'm going to do. You know, so I'm just going to cut down low. You're looking at all these people at a lower weight class. You're like, I can beat those guys, but you don't realize what it's like once you shrink your body down. I was like 6 foot tall at 120, 6'1", 120, cutting from 145.
That's a skinny 145. That's tall, lanky.
Worst year of my life, hands down. Just cutting so much weight. My dad, I ran 5 miles every single night, and I'd wake up sometimes in the morning at like 5 in the morning to go for runs. You know, so
yeah, we
it's just terrible.
We had a kid cut weight this year bad. Like he weighed like right around like 152, 156. He'd come in around. He'd wrestle like 26 or 32, and he'd suck weight. He'd suck weight every week. And at one point, he slept in a trash bag, and like he woke up and had to go to the hospital because like his organs were like overheated, and like he was so sick. You know, he ended up missing matches. You know, if he would have just stayed up a weight class, and you know, it's definitely something that you got to get used to, though. Because like you said, a lot of kids think, well, I'm wrestling 45. If I wrestle 32, then you know these kids are smaller, and then maybe I'll be able to outmuscle them. And
yeah. Dude, we have a bad habit of looking at results. You know, we just think, when we cut down, our results are going to get better. But it's like, that's not going to make you a better wrestler. That's not good long-term thinking. It may be good short-term thinking, you know. But unfortunately, in wrestling, we have to make weight so many times. Cutting a lot of weight may be a good idea for an MMA fight. You have to cut weight 2 times a year. But in wrestling, that is not a good idea. I don't recommend that at all. But I did it. I cut probably 25 pounds. Was having a decent season. I think I went blood rounds at Ironman. I took third at Battle for the Bell. I actually won. I beat Sean Cannon in the finals of Battle for the Belt. So I had some highlights from that year. Matches I could still watch. You know, I enjoy watching. But then I made it to state. I think I was seeded number 2 at state. I won everything before that. You know, League CIF Masters. And then I took 5th at state. I lost to a guy I shouldn't have in the quarterfinals. Came back and lost to a guy I had beaten twice that year. Actually, a guy who went to D1 commit, Yoshito Funakoshi from West Torrance. I took 5th at state. But I remember I gained 36 pounds in 1 week after state, in 5 days actually, just because it was like, I remember, and my dad was you know, miserable with me the whole time too, because he'd go on all my runs. He was so supportive. But I remember after state was done, there's a break in between the medal matches when I took 5th and the finals matches when you know, they do the finals, and there's like a 5-hour break, and my dad was like, whatever you want, we're getting it. So I got like a huge sundae at this place called Doer's Ice Cream. I had probably 6 scoops of ice cream. In and Out, had a double, went to Taco Bell, had a beef Mexi melt and a cheese quesadilla, went to Panda Express, went to Black Angus. Dude, we went everywhere, and I had so much heartburn, but I was so happy. And I just remember like my joints and my knees were hurting because I was so heavy, but I was so happy because I was like, I can finally eat. I just the whole year I was restricting. I'll never forget, we were like 2 weeks before state, we had a break in between Masters and state or CIF and Masters. I was like, I couldn't stop eating. We had like a team party because me and one of my teammates or 2 of my teammates were the only ones who were still going to state. So everyone else was getting fat and happy, and me and my teammates were cutting weight. But I was eating more than I should have at this place, and my dad looks at me and he's like, "Evan, stop eating!" Like I couldn't shut off my hunger. But yeah, so I didn't shut it off after season either, and I gained 36 pounds.
Yeah, we have a kid named Joey. He was on the podcast earlier at the Michigan episode, and he wrestles 120. He's wrestled 120 since he was a freshman. He shouldn't wrestle 120, but he wrestles 120, and he did the same thing. He never eats lunch at school, like ever. He always brings like this like lunchbox and has a single orange and 1 yogurt, and that's all he eats every day. He used to be like there'd be like practices where he'd be so miserable and he'd be just hating it. And you know, you'd see him come in with the 2 sweatshirts on and sweatpants and socks, and he'd be running, and you know, at practice he'd be after practice running the halls in the school. You know, he'd be at elementary practice, junior high practice. He'd be like in there running in the wrestling room. And then
I hated every second of it.
Yeah, he qualified for state. He qualified for regionals. Sorry, qualified for regionals this year. And as soon as he was done with regionals, he came home, and I've never seen him more happier in his life. He was eating lunch at school. He was just hanging out with his friends, going out to eat. Because, he's like, it's like, oh, like in the town I live in, there's a ton of restaurants, but like not really much to do. So everyone gets together. We all go out to eat. That's why being a lineman on the football team, it's bad. I remember the best night of my life was we got hoagies. Then went to the Chinese buffet. Then we got Cinnabon. Then we got ice cream at this ice cream place. Then we got Dunkin'. And then we got hoagies to take home with us. And then the next morning we went back out again and got more Dunkin'. And then that was our day.
You guys weren't cutting weight, were you?
No, that was at football. That was during football season.
Oh my goodness, man!
All the linemen. Yeah, we rode around in a van. Like we had this like a mini van with all the linemen in it. And we called it like the Hogmobile or something because it's like we all pull up to the buffet and all these these little workers, all these little ladies, and we're walking through there and it's all these big dudes and they like just put pictures of drinks on the table because they knew they were gonna have to come back and forth and it was bad. That was like that was a good memory for me, and I know like those guys that always cut weight. I've never seen them happier than when the season's over and they're able to kind of live a little. I guess you could say. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, it's not good for.
Do you find yourself doing that in college?
Cutting a lot of weight? No,
do you cut much weight now?
I my freshman year I probably cut 3-4 pounds. I didn't cut much weight at all.
Now, were you cutting that every week, or were you cutting that like just once or twice?
Like cutting is a strong word because I remember I'd show up to a tournament and I'd be like 2 pounds under, and I'd go get sushi with my mom, and the night before. So like me and my mom made it a tradition, before every tournament we would get sushi. So at NCAA's every night before, it's a 3-day win. Every night before I went and got sushi, but it got a little bit harder every year. I cut a little bit my sophomore year, my junior year. I cut about the same amount, but never got above about 175, like 10 pounds over.
You have any allowance at NCAAs on the second and third day or no?
What's that?
You don't have any allowances, right?
No, you have a 1 pound allowance every day. You have a 1 pound allowance every day. So
just go from 166 to 167, or just say 66.
Yep. Yeah, so you go. There's no growth pounds throughout the year. Obviously, like a lot of people know that. But you weigh in the first day 165, then 166, then 167.
Okay.
So you get 1 pound each day. But,
which, I mean, it probably doesn't really, you don't really probably need the pound anyway. You probably want to,
I mean, you
don't want to be cutting weight anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what stinks now is, when I was in high school, freestyle was 1 day weigh-in. Now all of a sudden they just changed it to 2 day weigh-ins. My whole life is going to be 2 day weigh-ins. I remember when I was a kid, it was like, oh, but once we're adults, man, we go freestyle and we're going to be living large because it's like, and it was night before too, so there was no, I'm not going to have to wake up and you weigh in the night before and you just start eating. But that was a little bit dangerous too because then that gave guys incentive to start cutting weight.
Well, you see that a lot with like the UFC fighters and stuff. Like you talked about, they cut like 12 pounds the night before a fight, weigh in the night before, then they fight the next day, and they look good after they step off the scale. They got the water coming to them and all that.
Yeah, but I think it's most dangerous in MMA because they're so incentivized to do it. They only make weight 2 times a year. They're like, forget it, I'll cut down to that weight. That's why you have so many guys miss weight because I think they misjudge how much they can cut, and then they get down to the weight and they're like, I cannot do this anymore. I can't move. People taking I don't think they have many rules or restrictions anymore. We're doing like saunas and sweatsuits, sauna suits and whatnot. So it's trouble in MMA. But
all right, so after a 5th place finish at state your sophomore year, honestly not bad for a sophomore. You could have won some close matches, but it's whatever. You come to your junior year, what are you thinking? Are you thinking you want to be at the top of that podium, like it's time?
Yeah, being a state champ was my goal every year. But my freshman and sophomore year, it wasn't the expectation. So I always, I distinguish between my goal and my expectation. I always have, I have the goal of being a state champ. But once it comes state tournament, my freshman year, I was like, Can I do it? Can I beat Zahid? Can I beat Azir Zavidra, Sean Williams, these guys? It was hard. But this year, the goal and the expectation was to win state. And that was I was having a pretty good season. Went to Ironman, and I lost to David Carr in the blood rounds. So a lot of familiar faces here on this podcast now. I took my lumps back in the day, man, I promise. But I lost to David Carr, I think 5-6. He was a freshman, so that was even more devastating. I just lost to a freshman, and that was in Ohio, where most of my dad's family is. So they came down to watch, and they saw me get beat by David Carr, who they didn't know wrestling, so they thought I just lost to a freshman. But when you really look into it, I lost.
Yeah, when you look at David Carr, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a decent loss, but then I went to Doc B on my birthday, January 10th. I was 18 actually.
Hey,
I just
January
turned 18.
birthday.
January, hell yeah! Me and my dad and you and Xander, we're twins. So,
yeah.
But I was wrestling in the semifinals, and I broke my ankle in 3 different places, and I had to, it was like at that point, it hurt so bad. But the medical trainers at the tournament were like, "It's not that big of a deal. It's like a high ankle sprain. He's just over exaggerating." I was like, I couldn't step on. I couldn't even touch my foot to the ground. And my brother had to carry me out of the tournament. We went to the doctor, and they're like, "Yep, you definitely broke it. There's a huge break." Some doctors were telling me I'd never walk right again. Some were saying I'd never run again, all that stuff. But we managed to find the right doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, we can work some stuff out." And he originally said it's going to be like a 3 or 4 month recovery. And my mom was like, "Well, he's got 5 weeks," because state was in 5 weeks. And he was like, "All right, we can put some screws in there." They put some screws in there, and I ended up I was back on the mat in a cast wrestling my buddy John Scott. I'll never forget this. I was wrestling on my knees. I couldn't touch my foot to the ground. Too. Yeah, I mean it was tough, man. All I could really do was like push him over, But it's good. It's a different, it's kind of like the whole freestyle thing. It's a different perspective on wrestling, So I was like, I can't use my feet. How do I score now? And I can't put my ankle in danger. How do I score now? So I was wrestling him, and I'd have to push him over, or snap him down, or get his foot and blast through him. But I was just running on my knees and stuff. But anyway, I went to CIF. I won CIF. I made it to the finals of Masters, but my ankle was killing me, so we were just like, let's just forfeit this one out. We're gonna go to state. Went to state, and I took 4th at state. But it was after like only 3 weeks of being able to actually walk. So that was a pretty big deal for me. But it was a bummer because my expectation, like I said, that year was to win state, and then you have something like that come in, and it was really devastating. But one upside to it was that I kind of was able to set aside my nervousness, because it was like I was hurt, so I was like, you know what, there's no expectation here. I'm just gonna go out and wrestle and see what I was capable of. But I did. One of the drawbacks was, I couldn't train very hard, so my gas tank was bad. I was getting gassed in these matches, but I saw that when I committed to my shots, I was good, and that was really motivating for me. I was like, you know what, when I'm actually competing at my best, I can beat these best guys. I can do it. And then that summer, I had one bad tournament in Iowa, didn't place at 145s. Then I went to Fargo, went up a weight because Cali USA Wrestling put too many people at 145. So they're like, someone's got to go up. And I was like, for some reason I volunteered. I was like, forget it. I'll go up to 152s. And I remember I didn't cut any weight. After weigh-ins, I had a hard enough time finishing a water bottle probably like this big. Now, like I didn't cut any weight. But I ended up having a super stellar tournament, my breakout tournament of my career. That was like the breakout tournament of my career for sure. I beat Hayden Hidlay 13-14. That was a barn burner. I went down by 8 points, and I stormed back in the second period and beat him 13-14. So that was a huge match. Then I went to the quarters, and I wrestled Austin Hiles from Ohio, beat him. Then I wrestled Griffin Perriott in the semis, and I was nervous for that match, but I was on a roll, man. And I think I scared a lot of people with my gas tank, and I was just relentless, and I ended up pinning him. Made it to the finals against Larry Early, and I lost, I think 8-10. A tough one to lose, but I was ahead on criteria with like 13 seconds left. But anyway, after that match, after that whole week afterwards, I had like probably 31. I think it was 31 coaches. I wrote it down on my notes. Before that, I only had like 3 D1 schools contacting me. But after that, I had 31 schools in 1 week contact me after Fargo. So if I could recommend anything, I know you guys, if this is past your time, but Fargo is huge. If you want to get colleges to recruit you, college coaches to recruit you and see you, they're definitely paying attention to Fargo. And I think it's because, they have a lot of stuff to worry about during the season, during the high school season. They got their own stuff going on. They're worrying about NCAAs, all these things. It's hard for them to recruit, but they all show up at Fargo. If you go to Fargo, man, there's people in different D1 school T-shirts all over the place.
Yeah,
so.
but what's it like if you're in like where like the entire like most of the Big Ten schools are near like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, right?
Right.
You got Penn State, you got Rutgers, and then you got a lot more like around there.
Yeah.
Like if you're like if you place at those state tournaments, you automatically have people looking at you, right? I was at Atlantic City, right, watching the New Jersey State tournament because a lot of my friends are competing and I didn't make it that far, and then I just see like a whole row of coaches in the back, just like all on the.
Yeah, you guys got it good over there because California's empty.
Yeah,
you guys sell out the state tournament too? Like, is it like fans?
Yeah.
It's sold out? Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
PA gets packed. I know people people travel from all over to watch PA wrestle.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I mean, that's impressive. You guys have that kind of turnout for wrestling because, dude, in California, it's getting worse by the year. We have like I think probably 500 people show up to the state tournament. We still have a good venue. There's one. Well, now we have girls wrestling, so there's 2 mats. But when I was in high school, it was 1 mat, spotlight, big deal. So even though there weren't that many fans, you still knew this was the big stage. But.
All right, so broken ankle, still pull a 4th place finish. You went up from your sophomore year. So it's senior season. You're a senior. This is your last shot to claim the gold around your neck, what you've been wanting to do since you were a freshman. So it's just play out senior season how it went.
Senior season was way different from the rest because I'd been to Fargo, and I had a stand-up performance, and I knew what I was capable of after that. So I ended up bumping up to 152s for the rest of that season. I didn't cut much weight the whole year, which was different from the rest of the years. I think that's a lot of people's senior years is, they, you deserve it at that point. It's like, I'm not going to cut weight. I deserve the spot. I'm going to do this. But I didn't cut any weight. And, I think my senior year was when I stopped viewing competition as an opportunity to lose and like an opportunity. I viewed it as an opportunity to win. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to go out there and see how many points I could score and, just take matches how they were. If I lost, I lost. I was just going to get better. I didn't worry about winning or losing. I just worried about being versatile and showing my technique, so that was big for me. But some controversy I had my senior year was that we had a kid, who was one of my high school teammates for, I think, the past year. We were like, basically kind of button heads for the spot. He said I should go 60s and he'll go 52s. And I said vice versa and all that stuff. And there ended up being a lot of controversy. And he was like, forget it, I'm leaving. His name was, I won't say his name actually, but he ended up transferring to Martin Luther King. But they left on some bad terms. They're like, we're going to go to Martin Luther King and we're going to beat Evan. So they went the same weight class. So that was big. I think at that point, the whole state of California knew about mine and his rivalry. But so that kind of defined my senior year. So I ended up wrestling this dude a couple places. He was an Ironman. I ended up placing a lot better than him at Ironman. I took second, and he injured defaulted out after he wrestled Julian Ramirez, actually. But then I met him at CIF or at Battle for the Belt, and I beat him like 5-2 or something, and that was a big deal. He was actually ranked ahead of me in state. I was ranked 3 in the country. He was ranked 4. He was ranked 1 in the state. I was ranked 2. So we kind of flip-flop roles. But I beat him, and that was one of the most exciting matches I've ever had. Then I won Doc B. I got outstanding wrestler at Doc B, and then we started our series for state. I won league easily, and then I went to CIF, and Luke Troy, or this guy was in my, sorry to say his name now, but he was in my CIF, and I ended up beating him, I think against 5-2 or something at CIF. And then I met him at Masters, and I beat him 3-2 there. So I was looking like I was going to wrestle him at state again, and it didn't happen. He actually got upset, and I wrestled another guy, and I pinned that guy in the state finals in 38 seconds or something. So it was like super awesome for me. And yeah, and the whole tournament, I teched and pinned everyone. I just went in with like such a good mindset. I had such good support and everything.
Did you get OW?
I got OW. Yeah, the Dave Schultz Award. I got the Dave Schultz Award, which was like, I was super excited about that. That's such a prestigious award. They give you it, and I think they give you like a pamphlet of all the guys who have won it before. So it's like Nico Villarreal, Morgan McIntosh, Isaiah Martinez, Zahid Valencia, all these guys. Like, wow, this is just such a prestigious award. Only the best guys get this award, and that was big for me. But I mean, dude, like I have to give the credit to my coaches and my parents, my mom, my dad were so supportive of me. And then I had Tight Mercury actually is it's in my hometown actually of San Marino. So it's based out of San Marino. So all of that is was pretty big for me. They sponsored me. They sponsored like my flights and stuff. They didn't pay me. Obviously they can't. But so that was huge. That was a huge opportunity for me.
Well, you were doing this, like, how was your brother in high school? Was he, like, up there with you? And
Oh, yeah. Xander was actually, I would say my senior year, Xander was a bit better of a wrestler than I was my senior
what
year.
weight did your brother wrestle?
145, the weight underneath me.
So
We were training partners. I mean, like, if I didn't have Xander, I wouldn't be where I was today. He was
Did
he
win
was a state champion.
too?
Yeah, he was a state champion as well my senior year with me. We were the first twins in California to win state together. So that was a huge accomplishment. But
So
he lost to David Carr in the Ironman. That was his only loss. Was David Carr. My only loss my senior year was Mason Manville.
Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
Mason Manville's another one of those guys that, you know.
Yeah, he didn't make the same leaps and bounds when he got to college, but I think he focused on Greco, so he made some substantial leaps in Greco. I wouldn't want to wrestle that guy in Greco. He's a great wrestler.
Yeah. He's a great wrestler, good dude too. I've talked to him plenty of times, and he's a good dude as well.
Right, yeah.
So it's time. You win your state title, and I'm gonna pass it over to Akil here in a second, though. You and your brother are looking at it, and it's time to choose a college.
Yeah, that was it's hard. Everyone says they wish that they could say yes to all the schools, but at the end of the day, you're saying yes to one. So
here's the question: Did your brother and you have multiple schools that you got the offer from together to take both of you in, or did you guys kind of have a couple? Yeah.
No, we had all the schools that we were looking at. The beginning of my high school career, it was looking like we weren't good enough. So it was like whatever we each can get, we're each going to take. So if NC State offers me something, Wisconsin offers him something, I'm going to go. I'll go to NC State. He'll go to Wisconsin. It all depends. But after Fargo, my junior year, we had all these coaches who were like, we want both you guys. We want to get both you guys in here because it was looking like it was going to be a good package deal. So all the schools that we visited, they wanted both of us. We went to Iowa State, University of Virginia, Drexel, Wisconsin, and then our last visit was going to be either Nebraska, NC State, or Arizona State. But we ended up just committing to Wisconsin. So, yeah, all the schools that we were looking at offered us each a deal.
Is he still the guy you look for when you're, getting ready to warm up and get ready to train? Is he that still the guy that you pull over and like, hey, like, let's go? Or
yeah, it was actually really tough for me. In the middle of my freshman year, he got hurt and couldn't wrestle, and that was like the first time I didn't have him as a training partner, and that was really tough for me to have to adjust because he was someone that I was really comfortable wrestling with, so it was really easy for me to be innovative and to take risks because I didn't care whether he took me down or not. I just worried about scoring points, but you know how it is when you're in a room. Sometimes it's like there's other guys. You see them as a competition. It's like their competition. If I lose, it doesn't look good. But I never worried about that with Xander. I never worried about getting beat by him or anything like that. But yeah, to this day, man, I still look forward to training with him. He's just as good as he ever was, and I trained with him in California. But he's hurt, man. He's he's a little banged up. That's why he's not wrestling anymore. He had 2 hip surgeries and he can't compete anymore. But I wish he was still competing. He could do some damage out there, and he'd help me so much get better as well. But
yeah, so I'm going to pass it over to Akil, and he's gonna talk you through your college.
Yeah. So of course, like you're coming into like your freshman season, like after your red shirt, you had a very good season. You ended up placing third in the NCAAs.
Right.
Against Marsteller in that third-fourth match. I've seen that match. And then you were the last wrestler from Wisconsin that was still in the bracket.
Yep.
That was the last match your coach was ever coaching,
Right.
And when you went and like gave him a hug afterwards, and you had the interview right after. Like, what were the emotions like during that?
It was crazy, man. I mean, that was huge to me as a freshman to place there because it was kind of, I related to my high school experience where I went to state as a freshman and I just got overwhelmed by the state atmosphere, and I made too much of these other guys, these other competitors, and this was like, I went to NCAAs as a freshman, and I took third. I came back and I battled back and I proved that I was good enough to compete with these guys, and so that was huge for me. And then obviously with it being Barry's last match was a super awesome experience. But then again, that was tough for me too. Is I had a lot of anxiety before those matches because it was Barry's last tournament. I was the only one left in the bracket after like the round of 16.
Yeah.
So it was like I have to be the guy. I have to be the guy to give him his last All-American. That was a huge deal. So I felt a lot of pressure there, but then I pinned Wanzek in the blood rounds, man, and it was just like a relief. And then after that, things started clicking, and I just started putting it on these guys. I had Chavez, John J. Chavez in the quarterfinal, in the Conti quarters, around for like 7th and 8th area, and then I beat him like 9-2. Then I had Marinelli, and I obviously had the best match with him there out of any matches I've had. I beat him like 16-3, and then I was wrestling Chance Marsteller, which was another huge deal because my high school coach, I remember like when I first met my high school coach in 8th grade, he was showing me videos and he was talking about Chance Marsteller, and we're watching Chance Marsteller videos. So in my head, Chance Marsteller was like one of the greats of wrestling. And I was like 113 at the time, or like 100 pounds at the time. And Chance Marsteller was wrestling 160, 170 in high school. So it was just like, I just looked up to this guy. And now I'm about to wrestle him. That was very, very intimidating. But I ended up going out there and pinning him, man. I went down 4-1, but I ended up pinning him. So that was an awesome experience. That was.
He's one of the greatest like high school wrestlers,
Yep.
You have the Derek just like he'll try to get back in.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course he had one of the greatest high school careers. You got the best in college. I'll add him back in. You placed third in NCAAs, only behind Vincenzo Joseph and Isaiah Martinez, right?
Right.
So like third place is like still very high up.
Yeah.
Those are
definitely.
two like all-time greats that placed first and second.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, that weight class was stacked that year.
How'd you do?
Marinelli took 6th, so that was a tough tournament.
How'd you do in Big Tens that year?
Big Tens, I took 4th. I lost to Richie Lewis at Big Tens, and then I beat Isaiah White, Logan Massa, and then I remember I couldn't wrestle the 2 weeks before NCAA's, that NCAA tournament where I took 3rd. I couldn't wrestle at all because I had a lesion on my knee where it was just like this buildup of fluid in my knee. That's why I defaulted out of the tournament for 3rd and 4th. Was my knee was like blown up like a balloon. I couldn't do anything. We thought I wasn't gonna be able to wrestle nationals at the time, but then they drained my knee and I ended up wrestling. So it was awesome.
And that's insanely deep, 165-pound bracket, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like people talk about 133 last year, like having all these guys all within like a couple points of each other too.
Yeah.
The guys like going
these
into overtime with Isaiah White, like every time they wrestle.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that was I'd say 65s and 33, or I may be biased, but I'd say they're definitely the 2 deepest weight classes.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Especially this coming up this year.
You were the lone All-American from your team that year?
That year, yeah. And then the next year was me and Trent Hilger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was your freshman season.
Right.
Coming into your sophomore season, you were the 4 seed in NCAAs. You
Right.
ended up placing third at the Big Tens.
I took fourth at Big Tens, fourth at NCAAs.
Who'd you lose to at Big Tens in third, fourth?
Big Tens, I lost to Logan Massa.
Russell Logan Mass. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a guy a lot of people are sleeping on too this year.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
tough, man. We actually have we might have an exhibition match coming up here pretty soon. There's like somebody's running an event in Texas and they're trying to get some momentum right now, with some wrestlers, and they called me today and they want me to do an exhibition with Massa. So I figured, that's awesome, man. We can't do tournaments right now, so let's do some exhibitions,
Michigan got some hammers coming back too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Michigan's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
They are sad to say, but they are my pick to take the big trophy home this year.
They're the dark horse, huh?
Junior thinks so.
They're my pick to take the trophy home this year.
Yeah. They're going to be tough. Iowa's going to be tough. I'm interested to see how Penn State's going to be.
Penn State's going to be young.
They have a lot of good guys coming too. You don't know how these freshmen are going to do, right? You have a guy like Hunter Smochi at 174. You have a guy like Greg Kirkley at heavyweight. You really don't know. Because he had guys like Tony Cassiope ranked 20th coming into the season and then a third.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's talk that he could beat Gable. I think it's possible. Just like you, like top's his strongest position. Gable is not that great on bottom.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
I think it's going to happen.
All right, Wick, bump up to 285. You got this.
Yeah. Take on all those guys.
So coming into the national tournament your sophomore year, fourth place finish at Big Tens. I think should be the 4 seed, right, at nationals?
Right.
The 4 seed.
Yeah, the 4 seed. Yep.
Yeah. So you had Alex Marinelli, obviously the 1 seed. Chenzo's the 2 seed. 3 seed would have been Massa.
3 seed was Josh Shields, actually.
Josh Shields and
Massa didn't have the greatest year, so he was I think he was like 7th seed.
I think he might have been 6 seed.
Yeah, 6 seed.
No, I remember Chenzo wrestled him, so it was 7.
Right.
You're obviously coming into the tournament, you basically cruise everybody, all the studs are basically cruising through to the quarterfinals.
Right.
And then you have another big matchup, your third, fourth match from the year before. You have Chance Marsteller. You take him over with that cradle again and pin him.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's obviously like a big win for you,
Yeah. That was a big deal. I mean, that was obviously wrestling Chance Marsteller again. That was the second time I'd wrestled him. So, I mean, going into that match, I thought it was going to be a scrap, and then I ended up locking up that cradle on him. He was trying to funk a little bit too much, and I think he underestimated again how long I was, and I ended up pinning him. I think I was probably the only guy in his entire wrestling career to pin him twice.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big deal for me. But then, I run into Mekhi Lewis, who was, he was just on a tear that tournament. And hats off to him for turning it up that tournament. He beat Marinelli and.
Yeah. So what was like your reaction to that match?
My Lewis match, Mekhi Lewis?
Versus Alex Marinelli, like after you found out that. Because you're obviously expecting Marinelli in the semifinals, right?
Yeah.
What was like your reaction when you found out he lost? Like, were you relieved or like you was like, oh, Mekhi Lewis is like on a rampage this tournament?
No, I wasn't scared. I try not to think too much of that stuff when I'm wrestling, when I'm in a tournament. I just take it one match at a time. But I do remember I didn't underestimate him at all.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a couple guys told me, they're like, man, you had that tournament on lock once Marinelli got beat. Like, I was looking at this Mekhi Lewis guy, and I didn't think much of him, but I was like, if he beat Marinelli, he's got to be good. I think a lot of guys thought, well, maybe he got lucky against Marinelli. He's not going to make it past Wick. But I definitely understood that, that was a statement for him to beat Marinelli. But I went in that match to win it. I went in to get to the finals. That would have been so awesome to make it to the NCAA finals and wrestle Vincenzo Joseph there. But it didn't happen, man. Mekhi's defense is very strong, and I couldn't make it through. There were a couple times, man. There was a stalemate in the third period that I still wish I could get back. But
he's extremely athletic too. That's like the main thing. Try to get past.
Yeah, he's very athletic. Good defense.
So after the semifinals are done, the quarterfinals, you got to have a wrestle back. Marinelli wins his, and then he loses to he gets splayed by he loses to Marsteller, right?
Yeah, he lost to Marsteller.
He gets splayed by David McFadden and pinned.
Yeah.
That was like one of the most interesting matches in my opinion.
Yeah. He I mean that tournament, he was the 1 seed.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, that you wrestle that 165-pound bracket, especially coming up this year, you wrestle it any day, like it could go any other way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm hoping I could pull away from these guys and make it to where, you wrestle it any other day and I'm winning. But it's a very competitive bracket right now. And I say of that tournament, you wrestle it 10 times, you get a different champ 10 times, So it's a very competitive weight class. And, obviously I knew when Marinelli was wrestling Marsteller, it's always a bad matchup for him. Marsteller's even more compact than Marinelli is, even stronger than Marinelli is. So I knew he was going to be trouble. And then, he beat him. So I wasn't very surprised to see that. But yeah, then I dropped on top of Isaiah White and I beat him. Close match, took him down last second, rode him out to win. And then I wrestled Marsteller again for third and fourth. That was a tough. I lost 5-6. That was a tough one to take, but tough pill to swallow. But
it's his senior season. He went out with a bang. You were only a sophomore. You still got 2 more years coming.
Yeah.
At that point,
Yeah. So I mean,
he had still 2 strong finishes as a freshman and sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I wish I would have been able to wrestle this season. See where I could have got.
You always see a guy like Vincenzo Joseph. He's like probably the most consistent guy in that weight class.
Right.
Consistently makes the finals every year. I say he got lucky the first 2 times against Isaiah Martinez. You put them matchup together right now, it's probably not even close. The way Imar's progressed.
Think so?
Yeah. No, that's just my opinion. Like
the way I saw him wrestle Burroughs, I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting matchup because did Martinez get that much better, or is Burroughs kind of lacking?
I think Martinez could have really won those first 2 also. That first match, Burroughs makes that storm with about 15 seconds left.
Yeah. I mean, that was Martinez was up a couple times, and it looked like he couldn't control the onslaught that Burroughs had.
Wasn't that like also the first time in Burroughs' career that he missed weight? Because I know he missed weight the first time.
Yeah, weight. The scale, he weighed in at 74 exactly on his scale. Because like they don't need to be like half pound under like you do in high school or college.
Right.
And then, he goes to that scale 74.1. They're like he has 15 minutes to cut this 0.1, and then he has to weigh in again.
Well, he just changed. I think he's like changed his single or whatever.
No, right, exactly.
Like 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah. So that was I do remember that controversy going on, but nonetheless, he's still 0.2 kg, whatever.
Like if you made it on the other scale, I think they should just like bring that scale in maybe, but kind of
exactly. But
it's not like he couldn't make weight.
Yeah. He was gonna make weight for sure. He deserved to wrestle. So, but yeah, that was an interesting matchup. Yeah, Isaiah Martinez and Jordan Burroughs. Martinez is probably just as strong as Burroughs is. So,
you never know. Like Imar could have locked up something big there too.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's why like Dake's matchup with Imar, like Dake versus Burroughs could really go either way at this point. But if you put a guy like Dake versus Imar, Dake's gonna win that mostly every time.
Yeah, Dake's very consistent. I think Dake's a little bit more consistent than Burroughs is. And I think at this point in his career, I don't know how he's going to compete at 74 kg. I think he's going to do everything right. He seems pretty committed.
Yeah.
But I think Dake at this point is probably the more technically sound wrestler. He's definitely smarter than Burroughs is when it comes to his wrestling. But
Burroughs has that raw athleticism, sometimes.
Yeah.
But Dake's a guy like who does like everything right off the mat. Have you ever seen like the film on him?
Yeah. Like, he's one of the very few. Everyone needs a way to cut loose, but it seems like Dake is one of those guys who just consistently does the right things and does everything he needs to.
So if we're in the freestyle thing, like who do you think gets a spot in 97?
97? Yeah. Refresh my memory. Who's there? Kyle Snyder, Jaden Cox.
You have Kyvan Gadsden too, but
I got a buddy, Sidney Flores at Air Force. He's the 125-pounder. Who says Jaden Cox is the man and he's the most slept-on athlete in the United States right now. So I'm going to take his word for it and say that Jaden Cox is going to smoke Kyle Snyder.
Yeah.
But
guys have wrestled in college a good amount of times. Like, and Snyder came on top the one time.
Yeah.
It was like a weird situation. Like, Cox was chilling with like his hand like right next to his ankle for some reason.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think since that match, Cox has developed so much. And two, I mean, Jaden Cox is a big person to begin with, so I don't think the weight's going to be a problem. I think even though he's going up a weight, he's going to compete just as well, if not better. And he's not going to be cutting any weight.
Yeah. So, again, 97, one of the beasts. You have Sadulayev. He's probably going to go down as one of the greatest, like, if not the greatest wrestler to ever live.
Right.
He could go down. He was Olympic champ at Rio 86, pinned Kyle Snyder in 2018 at Budapest.
Right.
So, like, what do you see happening there? A lot of people are going to say that Cox has the momentum to go on. But I think Sadulayev, like, I don't want to go against USA, but I think Sadulayev is just on another level compared to anybody in the world right now.
Yeah, it's hard to think of Sadulayev losing. I mean, if you break down his technique and everything, everything's perfect. Everything's perfect when you watch that guy. And I think, he blew up on the scene. He had that outside fireman's carry. But then after that, at one point it looked like, okay, maybe there's a habit to this guy. Maybe he just does this thing over and over, and someone's going to catch on. But he's developed. He's adapted very well. He got pinned by Snyder, but he came back the next year and won Worlds. He handled everyone. So I think Sadulayev is a different animal.
Like once he made, like he was 86.
Yep.
Wrestling 97. And he lost by like a point to Snyder in that.
Yeah, 5-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting match, and he gassed. He gassed out.
Yeah, it was like that's a 22-pound difference, like putting on that weight right there.
Yeah. So we knew at that point that was why he was vulnerable. But I think at this point, there's not much reason to think that he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, Cox has so much momentum behind him right now. And he's
his athleticism, I think, is the one thing that may be able to counter Sadulayev.
Yeah. But that it's funny. Do you think his athleticism is going to counter the technique of Sadulayev, or do you think the technique of Sadulayev is going to counter the athleticism of Cox?
In my opinion, I think raw athleticism, like Cox is technical, just not up to the point of Snyder and Sadulayev.
Right.
But the athleticism can pull him out of some bad situations.
Right. I definitely think Cox is very athletic, but dude, he's sharp. He's very sharp.
With a guy like RBY too.
Technique. But I don't know. I think I got Sadulayev. If I had to put all my money on it, I'd put my money on Sadulayev.
Yeah, I would go Sadulayev too. I think it's going to be more competitive than you've ever seen the match, though.
Oh yeah, I'd be scared to put my money on it, man. I'd be scared whichever way that I'm going to lose my money.
Yeah.
I do think Sadulayev is going to have the momentum. He won 86 while Cox took bronze that year.
Right. Yeah. That's true. But, that was in 2016. That's 4 years ago.
Yeah. But they're both around same age,
Yeah, for sure.
But another guy you can't count out is going to be Bo Nickel.
That's another one, man. You think he's going to go 97? I think he's going to go 86.
I don't think he will because of David Taylor. But Kyle Snyder's at Penn State too. But I think since Kyle Snyder's like newer, like he's probably good. I think he has a better Kyle Snyder than anybody else.
You think what? Say that again.
I think if Bo's gonna be anybody, it's gonna be Kyle Snyder over David Taylor.
I agree with
that. So?
I think so too.
Kyle Snyder's a guy who's been thrown and pinned before. If you've seen that national final.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that stuff goes in the room. You hear rumors all the time.
Because at 86, you have David Taylor, Pat Downey, and Alex Derringer, right? The finals.
That's David Taylor's weight.
Oh yeah.
Guys are sleeping on Derringer right there. Still a 3-time national champ.
He's definitely a 3-time national champion, but he just lost to Miles Martin. He's lost to Zahid on multiple occasions.
But like you also have to consider it's like who's having the best day.
Yeah, definitely. But I think
almost beat Kyle Dake.
Taylor, even on a bad day, I think takes that weight.
Yeah. It happens. Yes. So I'll get back to you now. I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, your junior season. Again, you have that you versus Alex Marinelli rivalry.
Right.
Freshman year, you really blew it wide open, and then it just got a lot closer. I remember seeing one of these matches, I think, at Big Tens. he won 2-1. You rode him out
Right.
for the entire period, but you only got one stalling call.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like it's really close every time. I think he should have won that match.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say. I'm not one. I I pride myself on being exceptionally technical. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to win a match off a stalling call.
Yeah.
So
Like if the guys, your bread and butter is like on top, you have that leg ride to the cradle.
yeah.
Like that's your move, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
my
he's just stalling you out trying to avoid that. There's like really nothing you can do except for cut him, which is gonna
Oh
give
yeah.
him a point off the escape.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. But I think what the way a lot of people are seeing it now is that he's so good at writing, he's making it look like Marinelli can't do anything. So it's like it's at that point, is Marinelli stalling or is he genuinely he can't get out?
Yeah, I know, but like if he's keeping his head on the mat, that's kind of thing. Like
Oh yeah,
trying to build
yeah,
up or not.
that's one thing I get really
Yeah.
frustrated about.
I think that match is probably it's gonna be a dogfight every time.
Oh yeah,
Marinelli's an insanely aggressive dude.
yeah.
And then
I just gotta keep my space against him on my feet, and I think I just gotta. At some point, my mentality changed when I was wrestling him at NCAA's, and I beat him 16-3, and then it changed once I started wrestling him again.
Yeah.
When I beat him 16-3, I was the underdog, and then every time after that, he was the underdog. I felt. I think a lot of people expected me to win, and that was tough to compete against. But
yeah. And Carver's a hostile environment too at times.
yeah, you know what's funny though is I wasn't scared at all, and actually a lot of them were very kind to me after my match. They congratulated me and said it was a good match, but I don't think any of them were booing that I was stalling. I don't think so.
Yeah. So that's basically your junior season.
Right.
Chenzo kind of took it to you a little bit.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
He was one of the strongest guys I've ever wrestled for sure.
That was his season. If we were to go distance, he's taking that for the national title.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're coming into your senior season right now.
Yep.
Weight class is loaded right now. You obviously have Mekhi Lewis is going to be the big favorite.
Yep. Alex Marinelli, Logan Massa,
Shane Griffith is a big one.
Shane Griffith, yeah, he's a new contender.
Yeah.
Shields and Vincenzo Joseph are out.
Yeah, and Isaiah Waite's gone also.
Yeah.
So a big matchup I want to talk to you was you and Shane Griffith. Two similar body type guys.
Right.
A little bit taller guys, both. Shane Griffith obviously was Stanford's in the MAC, I think.
I'm not sure. I picked Pac-12.
Pac-12, yeah, he's in one of those. He was undefeated. He was obviously undefeated, 29-0, rightfully the 3 seed. Heading into nationals. He didn't wrestle Tunzo Marinelli. You're both extremely good top riders.
Right.
You're good on your feet, but it's not like your strongest point. And then bottom, you're both solid. So like that's a good matchup, I think. 165 is really going to come down to like how the seeds fall.
Right. I didn't watch much of Griffith this year.
He had an insane high school career, but him and Mekhi Lewis was his junior year state finals.
How'd that go?
Mekhi Lewis was the reason he couldn't be a 4-time state champ. So it's like 5-2, I think.
Mekhi Lewis beat Shane Griffith?
Yeah, 5-2.
For Shane Griffith's 4th title, or
his junior year.
Was junior year. Okay,
yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting. I didn't know that.
And then,
I didn't know. I thought Mekhi Lewis was not considered a exceptional standout high school wrestler.
He's a 2-time state champ. Shane Griffith was the guy who started off with like 138, 145, 52, and 60.
Right.
Rob Kennard in like 7-1. Who's that right there now? Yeah. I don't know who Mekhi Lewis beat senior. I don't think he was really anybody. He beat. Mekhi Lewis was part of like this. How you have these like standout public schools sometimes.
Yeah.
You should have had 5 state champs at a public school in New Jersey.
Yeah.
They had 3 state champs, which were George Walton, who's that rider, Stefan Glasgow at Rutgers, and then Mekhi Lewis capped off his 2nd state title.
Oh, what high school was that again?
Boundbrook.
Oh, that was. You said they had 3 state champs.
Yeah, they had 3.
Damn, that's impressive.
And that's in like a school a state that's dominated by like Bergen Catholic, Del Barton, and stuff like that.
Who's the coach there? Is the coach exceptional, or is it just a couple?
No, I think it was just a talented class.
Right.
Because they haven't been on the scene as much right now.
Glasgow's at Rutgers. Yeah. Mackay's at Virginia Tech. Yeah, that's an exceptional year for sure.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like 3 D1 kids out of like 1 year out of the public school program.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the main thing I've been talking about is a matchup with like Mekhi Lewis and Alex Marinelli again. You know,
Right.
how do you think that goes?
It's so funny. You know, the longer I'm wrestling, you know, I always try to observe who's more talented, who's more skilled. But dude, ultimately, that's not a lot of the times what it comes down to. You know, you'll see a lot of the time the more technical wrestler actually doesn't pull off the win. It's who's got the better mindset.
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to who's got the better mindset coming into that one. You know, I think Mekhi always has a pretty good mindset going into his matches. The only time I saw him pretty vulnerable was his match against Logan Massa this year in freestyle. I think that was one of his first freestyle tournaments, so I think maybe he was feeling a bit vulnerable there. Got thrown upper body, so I think he got scared. But I think they're both going to come into this one pretty excited to wrestle. But I say Marinelli inches it out.
So the main way I've been actually looking at this, right, is like it would be you'd have yourself, Alex Marinelli, and Logan Massa be the 3 main guys in the Big Ten. You know,
Right.
you both had wins over Alex Marinelli, right? Massa beat him 2018, I think, the Big Ten semis.
Yeah, beat him. I think twice. Beat him in the quarters, then beat him in the consolation.
So chances are, most likely neither of you 3 guys are going to enter the national tournament undefeated. You know, maybe it's taking loss to each other.
Right.
But you have a guy like Mekhi Lewis is in the ACC, I think.
Yeah, he's in the ACC.
He's in the ACC. He's most likely going to get through scotch-free, right?
Yeah, and he didn't. I don't think he wrestled the Southern Scuffle or anything.
Maybe the guy
year.
from UNC, if they're in the ACC also.
Okay.
Kenny Monday. I think he's at 165.
Yeah, Kenny Monday, 165.
But I think
Kyle
Lewis probably takes that match pretty handily, right? And you have a guy like Shane Griffith, who doesn't really wrestle too hard of a schedule at Stanford, right? He wrestles Ohio State, but Ohio State's not really having anybody at that weight class right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the one thing right now is like, is Shane Griffith the real deal? Or, you know, the best guy he wrestled was who's the Arizona State guy? Josh Shields. You know?
Josh Shields is no slouch. Like, he's not a guy who easily score on offensively.
Oh, very, very tough to wrestle. I wrestled him. I beat him 5-4. You know, he's a tough wrestler.
That's why, like, him, Vincenzo, and Isaiah White are like, if you put any of those 3 up against each other, it's an overtime match no matter what most of the time.
Yeah. Isaiah and who else? There's another guy. I'm blanking on him right now, but Marsteller. It's like all those guys are kind of the same. You know, they're in the same group. They're just super hard. Yeah, it's gonna be overtime matches all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like it's like a big like all around toss up because you know like you could very well have another guy just walking into the field like Julian Ramirez from Cornell. You don't know.
Right. Yeah, someone's got to pull away from the pack at this point. You know, it just seems like everyone's kind of like
everyone's tiptoeing each other, kind of like
exactly, man. It's like who's going to pull away and establish themselves, and that's where I want to come into play. I want to be that guy who's coming in there and dominating and you know establishing.
I mean, we could see Mekhi Lewis come back after not wrestling much folk style. And he could be a little rusty, and he could take a couple tough losses, and you could see his ranking plummet a little bit, or he could come back flying and just come out there and just show it to everybody. I mean, it all depends on how he comes back and reacts.
Yeah, and it's Mekhi he has such exceptional defense. He's really good from a front headlock. I watched him at the U.S. Open, and he looked outstanding in those earlier rounds because guys would shoot on him and he'd move very well, but I don't think he has the greatest offense. You know, he went down against Massa at the U.S. Open. You see that he can't really get to guys once he's gone down. You know, he's had a couple matches like that. He had a couple matches like that his freshman year. I think Connor Flynn from Missouri he lost to, and then I think he lost to Isaiah White at Cliff Keen.
It's like he just caught fire in that tournament.
Yeah, he caught fire, but I mean, you could do that whenever he could come back and be sharp as hell.
Like my view on this tournament is, either Mekhi Lewis and Shane Griffith technically should be the two front runners. Only two undefeated guys. Shane Griffith was undefeated. Mekhi Lewis defending national champ. Either one of them two pull away, or it comes down to you, Marinelli, and Logan Massa, right? Who are like the three veterans in the field. All prior All-Americans.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a real wild card in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and I think they have the advantage because, like you said, they're in the ACC and they're in the Pac-12, so they're having they're going to be fresh going to NCAA's. Where Marinelli, Massa, we're just going to be beating each other up the whole year. Yeah. We're in Big Tens, we're going to get fresh off that, and then so it's going to be tough. We're going to have to step up our game for sure, but that's also going to sharpen us. I think they might get surprised when they come to NCAA's and realize like, oh crap, like. This competition is tough. I got another huge match. So I think
as they move later on in the tournament, once you get to that quarters, semis, and finals, they're going to be wrestling one of you three.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're gonna be prepared for that because it's the whole year. Each duel you wrestle in the Big Ten is gonna be tough. It's always gonna be tough. So we'll see who pulls away there. But I think in reality we probably have the advantage when it comes to. We're in the Big Ten. We're sharpening each other up. Come for NCAA's,
Another thing I want to touch on is like, as you see, 157 is an insanely deep weight class right now.
Right.
Do you see any guys possibly making the jump to 165? Because I know like Deacon would be the guy, but it's his weight class as far as we've seen.
It's his weight class, and he's already jumped up from 149, so I think he'll probably stay at 65.
Could you see a guy like Hidley probably moving up?
No, I don't see Hidley moving up. I think he's
because I have Hidley placed in 4th right now.
At 57.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I have Coleman from Purdue going 2nd, and David Carr going 3rd.
Coleman from Purdue, huh?
He lost 14-0 to Deacon. Then it was a 7-4 match at Big Ten. So.
Right.
He was scoring those 2 takedowns at the end of the match.
Yeah.
Then you have a guy like Ja'Cory Teamer there.
Yeah, dude, that's it's going to be a big weight class. But it's interesting to see how great those guys truly are. But man, what Nolf was in that weight class, it was it was a no-brainer.
18-7 over Deacon, and that's only because Deacon wrote him out the whole last period.
Yeah. Oh, he crushed Deacon at the duel. It was at Northwestern and everything. He just crushed him, man. Yeah, but Deacon's incredible wrestler. He's made a lot of leaps this last year. So I say it's Deacon's weight class, but Deacon's been a bit inconsistent these past few years. I think,
but I think he's really solidified himself. Like after that match with James Green at the U.S. Open, I think.
Yep. Yeah, he beat James Green.
Where he hit that last second push out to win him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that really that might have brought the confidence to him.
Yeah.
Because people are still saying it's Hidley's weight class just because he had that one close match with Jason Nolf.
Right. And another thing too is I think anyone at 57 would be crazy to come up to 165.
I don't know.
It's such a tough weight.
I could oddly see David Carr pulling out 157. I feel like
it's very possible. Any of these freshman guys, because Deacon wasn't the greatest as a freshman or sophomore. Sophomore year, he dropped some weird losses.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is that this last summer, I think it was Carr beat Griffith. He was beating Griffith in freestyle at least. So that will be.
Shane Griffith is pro style, dude. As far as I've seen.
Yeah. So we'll see. Can Carr come up? Is that going to give him confidence to come up? Like, hey, I can compete with Griffith. I'm gonna go up to 165. We'll see that. Yeah. He'll be tough.
You versus David Carr again.
Yeah. Junior year flashback. He won't hit me with a duck under again, I promise. I'm calling out David Carr. No duck unders.
We're going to have David Carr on the show now. We got to make it happen.
Evan Wick says no more duck unders.
A guy like Ja'Cory Teamer.
What I think of a guy like Ja'Cory Teamer?
You see him he didn't have the greatest season, as people being a number 1 recruit out of high school. But then he also is extremely dangerous from any position.
Yeah. He's quick, man. He's got to pick up some motivation, I think, just coming up these next few years. But he kind of has a history of gassing, doesn't he?
To an extent, more of his high flying matches. I was watching this one match of him in high school. He was the number 1 recruiting. He ended up losing to some unranked kid in like Ultimate Rideout. The kid picked bottom just got out.
Oh, okay.
It was interesting to see.
Yeah, that's the struggle. I think he competes well against the best guys, but he doesn't compete well against guys.
Because like you just take some guys lightly, and then you have a fight. You're like, oh.
Yeah. You go in there, you're expected to beat the guy, you're expected to beat him bad, and then he starts throwing it back at you, and you're like, oh crap, like this is gonna be a tough match. You got to be prepared. Every match is gonna be tough. You got to be prepared to bring it.
A lot of these guys like, at 97, it's like a mess right now, right?
What's that?
97, like the weight class is just a complete jumble of like guys, really. Like
Yeah.
Rookie and Warner losing, and then I see this guy.
Yeah.
He had a 9-11 match with Colin Moore, so.
Yeah.
97. Like again, you guys have Braxton Amos, so if he doesn't redshirt,
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see if we pull his red shirt. Yeah. Dude, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if we have a season at all next year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's looking scary right now. Dude, I'm praying, man. I'm praying that we don't.
I think the threat's gone like more away from like the coronavirus and like more to like all the riots and stuff that are going on, honestly.
Yeah, everyone's just forgot about coronavirus at this point. It's interesting, that we kind of just forgot about it, and it's not that big of a deal, and no one's reporting on that, and I think that's something that's really important. We have it's definitely important for them to report on what's going on now, but it's also, I mean, it's got to be important to report on what's going on with the coronavirus since this stuff has been going on.
You see some crazy things happening right now.
Yeah, the world is just in shambles at the moment, and all you can do is kind of like you said, hope and pray that we could all get back on the mat. High school, college, everyone can get back on the mat.
Yeah, and I think this is going to change everything, because I think you're going to find a lot of guys who were kind of in a rut in their wrestling career. They take this break, they felt kind of like drained and overworked or something. That, like, even myself, I felt like, I needed this break. I needed this break to come back fresh and come back excited to wrestle. And I've never been more excited to come back and wrestle in my life. I want to get back on the mat. I want to compete. It's like win or lose, I just want to go out there and I want to compete against these guys, because I took it for granted so much when I was competing in these last few years, where it was like, you just feel like you need a break and I want to take a break. But once you get that, you're like, man, it was just such a great opportunity to go out there and wrestle and be in the spotlight and compete and battle and test myself, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, now I talked about it a little bit in a different video. I touched on the subject of you're really going to see, honestly, after this quarantine's over, who took the quarantine and practiced and trained and, or who took the quarantine and kind of just was like, well, it's a nice break from wrestling, so I'm just going to take a break from wrestling and not really, talk about wrestling and, wrestle or work out, You're gonna see who really took it, as an advantage rather than disadvantage.
Yeah, and I mean it's all what you make of it. It's an interesting dynamic, because I think there are some guys who needed this time to take a break, take a month off, because I've been training my whole life, and my senior year after Fargo, my senior year, I took a month off because I had a hip injury, but I think that breaks can be very beneficial for people who. Sometimes you take it too seriously, and wrestling becomes everything. But you got to realize that there's more life than just wrestling, and you'll be okay even when you're not wrestling. But it's just you got to think of it as a good opportunity to test yourself. You can't make too much of it.
So one thing I kind of just forgot to touch on, like, coming into the season, your lineup was again looking pretty strong. You had two returning All-Americans and yourself and Trent, right?
Right.
But then you also had two transfers. Obviously, you had Seth Gross coming from South Dakota State, and you had Johnny Sebastian coming from Northwestern.
Right.
2 seniors, 2 6th-years, I think.
Yep.
How was it just like having them in the room? Like, how was that for like team morale and everything?
Oh, it's huge, man. I mean, you get someone like Seth Gross coming, who's an NCAA champion. He's done it before. He's done it under the same coaching staff. So, and he's a very experienced wrestler, and you see him training in practice, and he trains at a different level, so it's good. It's motivating to have a guy like that in there. And then Johnny Sebastian is just such a great guy, such a good motivating guy who takes wrestling very seriously. And it's also good to have that perspective of what it's like to train in a different place under different coaching staffs, and, to see, maybe we have it a lot better, where we can improve in certain areas. So it was great to have him in there. And, it's also too, like, especially in college, it's, I remember in high school, it was like we were friends with some high schools, but in college, man, it seems like you're enemies with everyone. Like you're not friends with anyone. You don't want to, converse with anyone or get tight with anyone. But to have someone come from a different school and be like, okay, they're doing the same things we are. We deserve it as much as they do, and all that stuff. It changes your perspective on the whole thing. But we also had that with Tristan Moran. So next year's, he came from Oklahoma State, so but he's gone too. So next year's going to be tough for us, man. We'll see how we adapt having these sixth years and our seniors moving out. It's going to be tough. So
Tristan Moran is like a guy, like, I think he could have been a real threat. Like he can pin guys,
Yeah, Tristan Moran.
Yeah, like he pinned Chad Red in that match. I remember I made a comment on Flo. I'm like, nah, there's no chance. I know he had some good matches, but then I think this might just be a little bit too out of his reach. And then he responds to my comment, right?
No way.
I look it up and I was like, my bad, dude.
My bad, dude. Yeah, dude, he's dangerous. I mean, he's a very dangerous person.
Yeah.
His walkout song is the Danger Zone. So,
what's your walkout song?
My walkout song? I had Youth of the Nation last year. That was a pretty decent one by POD. That's an old one, old school. You guys might not know about that song. But then I had you ever watched the movie Project X?
Yeah.
So there was like is a Heads Will Roll 8-track remix. It's a really cool song. You should listen to it.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I think Anthony Cassar wins this though.
The Soldier Boy? No way. It's an interesting walkout song, but I don't know.
Anthony Cassar still has the year of eligibility left. I think we should just.
We're not talking about that enough.
Come back.
Does he actually?
Yeah, he does. He could have really been.
Doesn't Nick Sirianno as well have another year then?
Yeah, I don't think Nick Sirianno
has.
He got into some stuff with the Rutgers coaching staff.
He has 2 years?
Nick Sirianno has 2 more years, yeah.
Transfer somewhere, Nick. Nick, go back to Penn State. Do something.
If Nick Sirianno's at Penn State,
one more year. He has 1 more year. Transferred from Penn State, didn't wrestle, but he lost that year of eligibility. Then took second to Spencer Lee. Then he won it. Kent State and Fix.
So he only has 1 year left.
1 year left, yeah. 1 more.
So we can see. Could we see Cassar make a return?
I don't think Cassar makes a return.
I mean, we did see Cassar make a return in '97.
I think Don Bradley just killed him.
We could. I think Cassar wants to move on. He also signed a contract with MMA, so I think he's done. I think once
the thing I see is,
do that as a call,
I think Cassar did. He won 1 state title. He won 1 national title. I think he's like, all right, I'm good. I won. I don't want to take anything else. I got my championship. I'm good.
Take that risk, like losing to Gable the next year. He'd be like, you beat him. Like, why not just beat him and leave it there,
Yeah, it's like you finish on top. You might as well.
I'm better than you. Just leave it there. You can't really say nothing about it.
I think.
Exactly.
Sirianno finished on the top.
I think Sirianno would take it again. He's just like mentally, he's on another level compared to these guys.
I saw there's a lot of guys that are thinking about MMA. I saw Gross was boxing or something. I see him. He's posting about boxing or some kind of.
Yeah, he's doing that. I don't know. He never talked about fighting or anything in the room going into MMA. He's a very business-minded kind of guy. He has his camp, the history camp. So I don't think he's going to be doing any.
I tried. I reached out to Seth Gross to get him on the podcast, and he hasn't returned my message yet.
No, I'll give him a shout for you.
Yeah, give him a shout for me. I had Gary give Sasso a shout for me, and Sasso was down. So
right.
What a match I'd really want to see is Seth versus Ethan Lezak.
Ethan Lezak? Oh, he'd stomp Lezak.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Gross stomps Lezak.
I don't know, man. Lezak gets on top.
Lezak's a backpack, but I don't know.
A backpack.
Because someone he wrestled, I think like Suriano got away immediately. So
I think Lezak was having a great tournament,
Hey, he get up in like 3 seconds or like 4 seconds. He was upright.
He threw in his leg and just fell. I don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
Suriano's not rideable though.
No, Suriano's tough, man. He's so strong. But
all right, it's time to ask some fun questions now.
Let me hear it.
All right, so what was your favorite match ever? High school, college? You could pick one match. What was your favorite match to
That would be between my Hayden Hidlay match, the summer of my junior year in high school, because he was the number one ranked guy in the country, and I was like number probably 20 or something, and I beat him. And I came back from an 8-point deficit. That was a huge comeback. Or it would be between that or my freshman year match either against Alex Marinelli or Logan Massa. Logan Massa was kind of the match that put me on the stage. You know, everyone's was like, okay, he's a contender. I beat Massa, who was number 3 in the country at the time. I beat him as a freshman, and I beat him 8-4. Oh, what's interesting about that is that he majored me 2 weeks before. I remember, I'll never forget this. He majored me 2 weeks before, and I looked at my friend and I was like, dude, I know I just got worked, but I could beat him. Like, I could beat that guy. And then 2 weeks later, I beat him. Between that or the Haile Massa or my Marinelli match at NCAAs.
All right, here's another good one. If you could pick 4 of your teammates to have with you in a zombie apocalypse, who are you taking with you?
Okay, well, so Trent, because he's big.
Trent
because he's big. I have a buddy named Durs Lance who has a ridiculous amount of guns, so I'm going to pick him because he has all the guns. And then my best friend Patrick, because you can't. I'd go crazy if I didn't have like a good.
You get one more. You get 4
one
picks. Who's your other one?
One more.
You're gonna take Seth with you?
No, he's a business mind. I can't use that. There's no business in.
What about when you got to trade?
No, dude, it's like Walking Dead. People are out to kill you. It's dog eat dog out there.
All right, you got one more. Who you taking?
One more. I would say Xander because he's my twin brother, but it's a boring answer. So I'm gonna think of a better one.
Another Trent. We'll make another Trent.
Another heavyweight. Who would I? Maybe you'll need someone to make a stupid decision because then they
sacrifice. Make the ultimate sacrifice.
They got to be the sponge. That's why, like when I play Warzone once in a while. You always got to have a sponge, someone who's going to take it, and then you can just.
I'm also a big Warzone guy, so we have one of those friends. We have a friend.
Yeah, I got a buddy named Devin Barr who would make the wrong decision, and then I'd capitalize on it and get out.
Yeah, we have a friend too who we send him in the houses first. It's like, all right, you go check if there's anybody in there. We'll stay outside and you check.
You need one of them. You need someone. It's always good to have a noob.
And if you could wrestle one match ever, any wrestler from all time you could wrestle, who would you pick?
Buvasar Satia from Russia. He's like my idol, and he's my weight. But he's very, very crafty wrestler. He's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. So I'd have my hands full. Super long, super lanky, uses length very well. So I'd have to say I'd wrestle him just because I could learn so much. He's around my weight. He's 3-time Olympic gold medalist, super long like me. I'd have to pick him. I would have to.
All right, and the last one. Favorite post-weigh-in meal other than sushi with your mom? When you were in high school, whenever, post-weigh-in meal, what were you eating?
So when you're talking about post-weigh-in, are we talking about, like, let's say after the tournament's over what I'm going to eat, like unhealthy? Or because when I'm doing post-weigh-in.
The cheat meal. What's the meal?
Cheat meal? I am crazy about double stuffed Oreos.
Those are good, yeah.
There's something about the double stuffed Oreo. Well, whenever my mom gets the regular stuff, I'm like, I'm not gonna eat them. I don't care. Like, there needs to be more stuffing in there. Also, I'm not a big fan of the mega stuff because it's too much. There's a perfect balance.
Too much. I feel like that's
too much. Yeah, it's like at some point, it's like whoever likes this, just give them the stuff. They don't
just
want.
Just give them a container, like a tub of the stuff too.
Just stuffing. At some point, they're gonna have those on the counter. Just a tub of stuff. Like,
have you ever had like the fudge covered ones?
Those are good.
Those are actually incredible. Yeah, that's also a good balance.
I had like a red velvet one with like fudge on it. It was good.
Red velvet fudge? Oh, that's good, man.
Sounds good.
You know what I'm big on too is I think a cake is one of the most underrated foods ever.
Yeah, but
I've been making these mug cakes.
Oh, you make them in a mug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do this. Take 5 to 6 Oreos, throw it in a mug, just like crush them up with like a fork or something, and then you just pour milk to like halfway up the Oreos, and you microwave that for a minute.
What happens with it? Oh, it makes it like a cake or something?
Yeah. Because like the
way.
Oreo. Like,
He's gonna try that now. We better get a picture of this. If you make this, we gotta get a picture of the Oreos.
Dude, I'm gonna try to make this, but this is gonna be like my cheat meal for the week. You know?
Yeah, that's
it's not that bad for you.
That's
An
six
Oreo-
Oreos.
It's not that bad.
It's like 6
We're
Oreos.
it's heavyweight nations. I'm sorry. 6 Oreos to us is like
That's
Yeah.
nothing.
That's
Oh,
not-
dude, when I was done with my sophomore year season cutting weight, I would have literally the whole box of double step Oreos as a snack, just as a snack.
I can't do.
Like oh, I'm kind of hungry. Eat a whole
You ever
box.
feel like the sugar get into like your brain?
I felt perfect. I was like that.
when I was at my big boy stage, mine was spicy sweet chili Doritos. Those were the go-to.
Oh, those are incredible. Yeah, those are great. That's the best Dorito there is. I'm not a big fan.
I agree with that.
I'm not a big fan of Doritos. You know, everyone likes. I love Mountain Dew. You know, everyone does the whole Mountain Dew Doritos combo. I'm like, that's not it for me, man.
All right, one more. Just a dumb question. Favorite fast food restaurant? Mine's Taco Bell. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Oh, you know, I'm a big fan of Taco Bell. I'm a big fan of the Baja Blast. You know, and chalupas
Yeah.
they're not authentic Mexican, are they?
Yeah,
That's
they are. Yeah.
That's a Taco
We
Bell.
are differently.
No, their chalupas are, I think, like an actual thing. I've gone to like Mexican restaurants and seen a chalupa on the menu.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe I can't give Taco Bell credit for that, but for the Baja Blast, I'll give them credit. But I'm a big fan of Panda Express.
They
We
have-
don't have that around here.
We don't have it around here either. We have it in California where I grew up. So I go crazy for about 6 months of the year with no Panda Express, and then I go home and just crush it. But yeah, Panda Express, I do orange chicken, sweet fire chicken, chow mein, and when I'm not being serious about my weight, I pour a little of the teriyaki sauce on the chow mein, and it makes it just
That
delicious.
sounds like it's absolutely delectable, but yeah, we don't have that around here. We also don't have In-N-Out, which sucks. I've
In-N-Out
never had it
has another one.
before.
In-N-Out's my number 2. Never had Shake Shack. You guys have Shake Shack?
Yeah,
right?
we have Shake Shack. Shake Shack is good.
I did have an airport Shake Shack, and I was not impressed. But I don't
Well, that's
think
an
that
airport
counts.
Shake Shack. Yeah, no, there's one in New York. The one in New York City. That's where I had it. It was really good.
Are the Lions? Because, dude, in California, get this. Guess what a manager at In-N-Out makes a year? In-N-Out manager.
Are they like on salary or is this like per hour?
Salary. Like, what do they make
I'm
per
gonna
year?
say oddly enough, $45,000,
More.
It's at least 100.
More than 100.
120,
More.
150,
A little bit more.
155.
160 they make a year. Can you believe that? A
Wait, to
fast
be a
food chain
manager of an
manager.
In-N-Out.
Yeah, look it up, man. It's on Google. My
That's-
buddy, another shout out to Sydney Flores. He's been driving me around everywhere, and I've been training in California. We train at the Beverly Hillbillies garage in Beverly Hills.
Hillbillies.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he told me that. I didn't believe it, but I looked it up, and it's true.
Yeah,
$160,000.
I saw that the Hidleys have some kind of training area that they're training at too right now. That's like their little club. I know I saw a couple of Penn State guys were there.
Yeah, he's always referencing their club, whatever it is.
Their little shack. It looks like it's like a little shack. They just have bats in and
Oh, really?
yeah.
That'd be cool. I gotta contact someone. I've been training in. I don't have anywhere to train here except with some of my teammates, but I gotta reach out. Maybe start training with some other teams, Minnesota or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
So what, you stay in Wisconsin for half the year and then the other half of the year you're in California?
When I was under Barry Davis and that coaching staff, I'd get about 3 months in the summer to go home. But now under Bono and them, they're a lot more strict, so I'll get like 3-4 weeks to go home throughout the year.
That's tough, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, because I miss California, man. But I miss my family. I'm a family man. But I don't get to go home much. But I'll actually be back in California. I'm in Madison right now. I was in California for about 2.5 months, which was great. But then I'll be back in California doing some camps and stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, who knows? You could be one of the first and one of the many. You're only the second Division I wrestler we've had on the show. We're trying to get as many as we can in, just to kind of get it out there and just kind of talk to
Right.
people and just kind of show that you guys aren't like
people that are just going to ignore the fans, ignore, the people that love wrestling. I feel like a lot of big, like kind of superstar athletes get that kind of bad rap that they're not really, open to always talking to fans and stuff. And, that's what we're kind of, just a good conversation, especially in a time like this, just to, put out some wrestling content and everything.
Yeah, I mean, no one's got anything better to do, and I think you guys are really capitalizing on a good market because people, they're just going to be sitting at their homes looking up wrestling videos and stuff, and hopefully they'll stumble upon this stuff and listen to these top-tier athletes and listen to what they have to say and their advice and stuff like that, and take advantage of this. If you want to be a D1 wrestler, you got to be a student of the sport. You got to be watching wrestling videos, wrestling interviews, all that stuff. So,
and a student as well. You got to be a student.
Got to be a student. Yeah. I stress academics as well, so I'm not just an athlete.
Were you smart in high school? Were you like a?
I wasn't smart compared to my peers in high school because I went to San Marino High School. Was like it's like a blue ribbon school, so it's a distinguished school. It was very tough academically. I think we were like the top 20 academic schools in the country.
Yeah, I've heard that they're push at academics a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, I'd have friends get like perfect scores on ACT, SAT, like perfect, easily. I actually had a buddy whose sister just graduated summa cum laude or whatever at Harvard. She graduated with a 4.0 and summa cum laude at Harvard. So, and she was in that same area. So, I mean, it's a very tough. But I graduated with a 3.0 or 3.1 GPA at high school. So, didn't look great, but my SAT scores really shined in high school.
What'd you pull on the SAT? Could you share? Was it good?
So at the time, it's different now. It's out of what, 1,600?
16, yeah.
When I was in high school, it was at 2,400. So I got I think I got a 1,700 or 1,800 on the SAT. So
that's really,
like a 1,200 or 1,300 equivalent now.
Yeah, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. So I did.
I took it once, and I got a 1090, which is like 10 short of 1,100. With that's not horrible. That'll get you in most Pennsylvania state schools. But right. I don't know. I plan on taking it again. I scheduled it once, got canceled. Scheduled it twice, got canceled. Scheduled a third time, got canceled. So.
Dang. Oh, that with the coronavirus, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You guys got it rough right now.
I mean, yeah. I was like more just like get it enough done, just to get into my school.
Yeah.
I took the SAT once. That was really it for me. Like I got the score I needed. So.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do to get into your school, but I really suggest take it seriously, man, because when you graduate, it's only 4 years in the grand scheme of things. It's nothing.
Yeah, my school. In New Jersey, you have like all like the immigrants, like Indians, like Asian people coming in.
Right.
Yeah, so like it's tough, like we had a good unless you get like a 1,500, you're not in like the top 10% of the school.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a very similar situation. My high school was, I think, 75% Asian, and like a lot of the school didn't speak English because they came from China. Yeah, so it was a very competitive school. Kids came there to get a good education and go like Ivy League and stuff like that. So
like our sports teams have went down like a lot, like because a lot of these kids are transferring out to private schools, like the insanely good kids.
Oh yeah.
That's how it happens here
in California.
That's how it happens here in PA. Like if you're a stellar PA wrestler, and you're a freshman, like let's just say I'm a freshman, I placed top 3 at state, you're gonna get that call from Sam. You're gonna get the call. Hey, I'm the coach at Sam. I want to have you down to an open house because there's a kid that from like a local public school who just placed 3rd at state at 106, and I guarantee you he gets one more public school year, if that, and he's gonna be at Sam.
No way.
It all depends on how much money they can give you.
No, yeah.
Right. Damn, man, it's really competitive over there. That's like
like these random schools, just having like absolute studs. Because there was this one kid this year, John Biznansky. He's committed to. He was ranked 3rd at 184. He teched and pinned everybody in the entire state. He wrestled our dude in the county finals, right? Their school is not known for like anything, right? They've had like extreme drought, and this one kid comes off in his sophomore year. He knocks off a Buffalo commit in the county finals, places 3rd in the state, behind Shane Griffith and Rob Kennard. And then his junior year, he makes it to the finals, techs his way through pretty much everybody, beats Nick Addison, who's going to Stanford, and loses to Chris Foca from Cornell. And then his senior year, he just comes out of nowhere and just he teched his way through states, I think, in like like he wouldn't even lock up pins. He would just squeeze guys. Guys would just give up on him in like the state semifinals too. And he tech pinned a Harvard commit in the finals.
Wow, that's impressive. That's huge.
And I've noticed that you see that a lot too, where these like pretty decent wrestlers are going Ivy. So could we see like a push with these Ivy schools with all these young guys committing?
I think Cornell is like the big one, but Harvard is not to be slept on.
Yeah. Harvard's not to be slept on. They got a couple studs. Princeton is coming up there. UPenn is
a lot of these dudes are going to Princeton because like they may not, because Rutgers is getting extremely stacked with their guys. And Riders just for like the lower level guys who like they're still D1, but they're not up there. And Princeton's just like, if you just want to get away from that and you're extremely smart, you just go to Princeton.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Ivy League has changed. The whole dynamic in wrestling has changed. I think there was a point in time where it was like, oh, I got an Ivy League guy, it's gonna be easy. I got a guy from Drexel, it's gonna be easy. Or
I didn't even think about how many D1 wrestling schools there are in Pennsylvania. Penn State, Lehigh, Lock Haven, Drexel's in PA, right? Yeah.
Drexel, Bucknell, UPenn.
Bucknell's
it's ridiculous.
Yale and
Yeah.
Yale is Bucknell.
Yeah, Bucknell. Yeah, Bucknell's in PA.
Bucknell's there. Yeah. I mean, you guys got a lot of D1 schools.
Do all Ivy League schools have wrestling? Or
what's that?
Do all Ivy League schools have wrestling?
Yeah, all Ivy League schools have wrestling.
I think Brown's in Pennsylvania too. Then.
No, Brown's in Rhode Island.
Oh yeah, Rhode Island.
Which one's? Columbia's in New York.
New York. What else? There's Cornell's in New York.
Yeah.
Harvard
New York wrestling is up there too. Like
I think you could honestly see a push from these Ivy League schools. You're going to see more and more Ivy League guys end up in the finals. And
the EIWA is like the second best conference now.
Yeah, EIWA. I mean, Lehigh. You got Lehigh in there.
Lehigh is really tough. They've always been tough.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man, it was definitely great having you on, and I'm sure after nationals we'll try to catch up with you again and talk about how that went and everything, and hopefully you come home with gold like you did your senior year in high school. Maybe it'll play out perfect for you.
Yeah. I'm hoping, man. Yeah, if you guys want me on after NCAAs, I'm more than willing to do it.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
So yeah, it was great getting the opportunity to talk with you. One of the guys, like when I first started watching wrestling, like after my sophomore year of high school, like my second year getting into the sport, you were one of the biggest guys like I was watching.
Thank you, man.
You versus Marinelli was like one of my favorite rivalries to watch. Just like the pure violence of it.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part about the sport, right? So yeah, it was great getting the opportunity to talk to you, and we hope to have you on again. Again, for you guys, like if you made it this far, we're gonna have either Sammy Sasso or Anthony Echemendia tomorrow. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we have a big week. I think we told our fans yesterday, five straight videos with NCAA Division I wrestlers.
We'll tell you who the next two definitely are, though. There's Sasso or Echemendia,
Right.
Yeah. So it was great getting to talk to you, man.
Yeah, definitely great. Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. Keep us posted about the Oreo thing in the mug. If you do try it, we're gonna post it on. We'll post it on the page.
Tag me in. Awesome, man. I'll try it out. It sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, you guys.
So this is episode 17 of Late Night Shots with Evan Wick, and we hope to catch up with you soon, man.
All right. You guys have a good one.
All right. Peace.